15 years. I built that company with my own 2 hands. And it took one text message from a stranger to show me that someone close to me had turned my bedroom into a courtroom exhibit. Gloria had made pot roast that Sunday, the good kind, the kind she only makes when she's proud of something. And that day, it was for a good reason. Our company, Holloway and Vance Industrial Supply, had just closed the biggest contract in its history. $42 million over 3 years, supplying hydraulic fittings and industrial fasteners to 2 manufacturing plants outside Cleveland. 15 years of long days led to that one signature. I was at my kitchen table, fork halfway to my mouth, feeling like a man who'd finally made it, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Don't react. They're recording you. I'm 45. I've negotiated with steel suppliers who'd sooner spit on you than shake your hand. So I didn't flinch. I chewed my pot roast, told Gloria it was delicious, asked her to pass the rolls. You okay? She asked. You went quiet. Just thinking about work, I said. Which wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the whole truth. That night, after Gloria fell asleep, I searched the house. It took 40 minutes on my hands and knees before I found the first camera, a pinhole lens tucked into the smoke detector above our bed, then one in the bathroom vent, then one buried in a phone charger in my office. By 2 a.m., I'd found 5. Bedroom, bathroom, office, kitchen, garage. I sat on the edge of the bathtub holding them in my palm like a handful of poison, thinking, somebody has been watching me eat breakfast, argue with my wife, shower. I didn't know it yet, but the person who planted them wasn't a stranger at all. My name is Vincent Holloway. I grew up on the east side of Cleveland, the kind of neighborhood where you fixed your own car because you couldn't afford anyone else to. By 28, I knew the industrial parts business better than the men who owned it. That's where I met Maddox Vance, golden boy, charm for days, money behind him. I had the floor knowledge, he had the handshake. We started Holloway and Vance in a rented warehouse with 3 employees and a fax machine that jammed more than it worked. 50-50 partners for 15 years. I thought that 50-50 had held. That was my first mistake. The morning after I found the cameras, I said nothing to Gloria. I kissed her goodbye and drove to the office with my jaw so tight I thought I'd crack a molar. Maddox was already there, feet on his desk, laughing on the phone, waving at me through the glass like nothing was wrong. I didn't know for certain it was him, but a voice in my gut, the same one that had caught bad invoices for 15 years, was screaming his name. I didn't let it show. I suggested a celebration dinner. Me, Gloria, Maddox, his wife Patrice, and our attorney Lorraine Ashby. A flicker crossed Maddox's face at the mention of Lorraine. Small, gone in an instant. A man with nothing to hide doesn't flinch at his own company's lawyer. At dinner, I watched his hand while he toasted to Meridian, steady as a surgeon's. I raised a glass to 15 years and watched that same tight shadow cross his eyes again. Lorraine caught my look once across the table. I gave her nothing, not yet. That night I called Terrence Okafor, our longtime security consultant, a former insurance fraud surveillance man. 5 cameras, I told him. My bedroom, my bathroom, my office. He went quiet, then flat. That's a felony in Ohio. I told him I wasn't ready for police yet. I needed to know what the cameras had recorded, and where the footage went. You think it's business? He asked. It wasn't a question. I think it's Maddox, I said. In his shop the next day, Terrence turned one of the devices over in gloved hands. Cellular enabled. No Wi-Fi needed. Whoever set these up bought equipment made for people who don't trust local networks. That's not paranoia. That's planning. He could trace some of the footage to a cloud account. Vince, he said, why would your business partner want footage of you in your bathroom? I already had the answer. He didn't want footage of me in the bathroom. He wanted footage of me doing anything he could cut up and splice into whatever story he needed to tell. Living inside that knowledge was exhausting in small ways. Showering under a lens Terrence had quietly disabled, brushing my teeth and wondering how long I could keep my face from giving anything away. Gloria noticed. She always notices. You've been weird all week, she said one night. I've been married to you 19 years. I know what work stress looks like on you. This isn't that. I almost told her everything right there. I promise, I said instead. I'll tell you soon. I just need a little more time. She studied me, then nodded and went back to the dishes. because she trusted me enough to wait. One night, a camera's failure light started blinking, meaning someone might come swap it out while we weren't home. I called Terrence at midnight, panicked. "That's actually good," he said. "It means he's watching closely enough to notice. I'll be parked outside every night. Nobody's getting past that door without me knowing." 4 days later, while Gloria and I were at the grocery store, a man in a fake delivery uniform let himself in through the back with a key that had no business existing. Terrence caught it on a dash cam and traced the plate to a private contractor who did discreet residential technical services, paid in cash, untraceable, except for the calendar invite that booked him. It came from a company email account, disguised as a facilities walkthrough. Organizer, Maddox Vance. I brought in Cynthia Marsh, my forensic accountant of 6 years, to quietly audit our own books, without Maddox knowing. "You think he's cooking something?" she asked. "I think somebody put 5 cameras in my house," I said, "and I think he's planning to use whatever he films to convince the board, or the police, that I've been stealing from my own company. If I'm disgraced, I'm gone, and if I'm gone, he doesn't need my signature anymore." For weeks I lived 2 lives, the man riding high on the Meridian deal, and the man building a case against his own best friend. I let the cameras stay exactly where they were. I performed for them, fake late-night calls on a burner line about moving numbers before the audit, a fake ledger left open on my desk. Maddox, watching, was eating it up. "You seem stressed," he said once at the warehouse. "Everything good at home?" A few days later, almost casually, "You ever think about bringing somebody else in? Investment, not control, just capital." I said we'd talked about this. I liked us lean. Something in his eyes went flat for a second, before the charm slid back over it. That was the moment I'd later understand the clock on me started ticking. 2 weeks after I found the cameras, Cynthia found the name Grayson Whitfield buried in an email thread, accidentally CC'd to a shared company drive. Maddox's own carelessness. Subject line, "Whole Vance restructuring opportunity." Maddox was pitching Whitfield's private equity fund on buying a controlling stake in the company, not investing alongside me, buying me out entirely, using documented financial irregularities to drive my valuation to almost nothing. He was building a paper trail, footage, twisted financial records, maybe employee testimony. "I want to give him exactly enough rope," I told Cynthia. "I'd keep performing for the cameras, let him think the trap was working, and when he brought his fake evidence to the board, I'd have real evidence sitting right next to it." "That's a long time to live like a hostage in your own home," she warned. "I know," I said. "He doesn't get to walk away clean, not after this." 3 days later, Lorraine called me into her office, shaken. Someone had anonymously sent her documents claiming I'd diverted company funds through vendor overpayments, forged bank transfers to an account that didn't exist. "The routing numbers are wrong," she said. "The dates place you in Michigan on days you supposedly authorized transfers from an office computer here." I told her. "Let it go to the board." She was stunned I'd want that. "I want Maddox to think it's working," I said. "A man who thinks he's winning gets careless." Then Patrice called, Maddox's wife, which never happened. "I found a folder in his home office," she said, voice cracking. "Pictures of your house, camera placements, a floor plan with X marks." I asked her to say nothing to him, she promised. For the first time in weeks, I let myself feel betrayed all the way down to the bone. Cynthia finished the audit clean, every dollar accounted for, no irregularities, because there never had been any. Terrence traced the cloud account the cameras uploaded to, a shell email, but the subscription's payment method was a corporate card, Maddox's name. He'd used company money to pay for cameras filming his own partner's bathroom. "I've got everything I need," I told Cynthia and Terrence. "I just need him to say it out loud, on the record, where he can't take it back." The night before the board meeting Maddox had engineered, Terrence and I added one more device, a small recorder clipped inside my jacket collar. 3 nights earlier, in the warehouse, I'd let it slip that maybe bringing in Grayson's capital wasn't such a bad idea after all. Bait, to see what Maddox would say when he thought the fight was already won. What he said, recorded clean. "You're finally seeing sense. Grayson's ready to move the second you're out of the picture, Vince. Once the board sees what I've got on you, they won't have a choice." The boardroom sat 6. Me, Maddox, Lorraine, 2 outside board members, and, because Maddox insisted, Grayson Whitfield himself. Lorraine opened with the forged documents, revealed as forgeries, routing numbers matching no real bank, dates that put me in Michigan while I was supposedly transferring funds from Cleveland, an account that had never existed. Somebody fabricated evidence against a founding partner, one board member said slowly. Maddox tried charm, tried confusion. I let it build, then told the table about the 5 cameras, bedroom, bathroom, office, kitchen, garage, and watched the temperature in the room drop 10 degrees. I slid across the corporate card statement showing the camera subscription. I slid across the email thread with Grayson, his own words about documented financial irregularities that never existed until someone tried to manufacture them. Then I set the recorder on the table and pressed play. His own voice filled the room, unmistakable. Nobody spoke. "Is that you on the recording?" a board member finally asked. Maddox didn't answer. "This board needs to discuss a formal separation and a referral to legal counsel," Lorraine said. "Fraud, forgery, and Ohio's video voyeurism statute." 15 years, Maddox said, looking up at me like he might still talk his way out. "We did build something," I told him, standing, buttoning my jacket. "And I spent 15 years thinking that meant something to you, the way it did to me. You put cameras above my bed. You watched my wife and me in our own house. There is no version of this where you get to remind me what we built. You were the one trying to burn it down." I told Grayson the company wasn't for sale. It never was. Everything after moved fast, the way a house fire does once it finds the gas line. The board voted unanimously to remove Maddox from all roles within the week. I called the police that night and handed over every camera, every forged document, every email. Ohio doesn't play games with voyeurism charges, especially with a corporate card receipt sitting right beside the crime. Maddox was charged with fraud, forgery, and invasion of privacy. Grayson's fund quietly withdrew within 48 hours. Word travels fast in Cleveland's business world, and 2 other deals of his fell through right after. I bought out Maddox's shares for exactly what the forensic valuation said they were worth, not $1 more, using a clause Lorraine had insisted on 15 years earlier, back when we were young and broke, and protecting ourselves from every angle we could imagine. I never thought the angle we'd need protecting from was each other. The night before the board meeting, I finally told Gloria everything. The cameras, the forged documents, Patrice's call, the plan. She didn't cry. She went very quiet, hands curling into fists on the table. "He watched us," she said, not really a question. Then, "What do you need from me?" I asked her to keep having lunch with Patrice like nothing was different, just until the meeting. Afterward, none of it would matter anymore. She reached across the table and took my hand, and for the first time in 3 weeks, I let my shoulders drop. Patrice left Maddox before the arraignment. She called Gloria and cried on the phone for an hour, and Gloria didn't say one word in his defense. Maddox eventually pleaded down. Fraud and voyeurism both. Restitution. A permanent mark on a record no amount of charm would ever talk away. I heard he left Cleveland within the year. Patrice kept the house and went back to school, building a life that had nothing to do with the man she'd married. Holloway and Vance is just Holloway now. I kept the name on the door for the employees who'd built their careers there, but every contract, every signature line, Vance is gone from all of it. The cameras are gone from my house too, except one. The one from the smoke detector above our bed, the very first I found, sits in a drawer in my office. Sometimes, on a hard day, I take it out and hold it. Not because I'm sentimental, because it reminds me that Maddox wanted a story he could control, cut from fragments of my ordinary life. I gave him one instead. The last time I saw him was through a courtroom window, waiting for his arraignment. He didn't look at me. I didn't linger. I had a company to run, a wife who still makes pot roast on the days she's proud of me, and 15 years of somebody else's betrayal to finally set down. There's no version of this where I forgive him. Some things don't get forgiven. Some things just get finished, and I finished it. 15 years of friendship taught me exactly one lasting lesson. Trust the people who show you their whole hand, and burn down anybody who only shows you the cards they want you to see. I don't regret a single minute of what it took to finish this. Not one. The warehouse still smells the same as the day we opened it. Grease and cardboard and cold Cleveland air leaking under the bay doors. Some mornings I stand there before anyone arrives, keys in hand, and remember exactly how close I came to losing all of it, to a man I once would have trusted with my own life. Then I unlock the office, turn on the lights, and get back to running the only thing that was ever really mine to begin with.